Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC iPlayer in the UK from Monday the 19th to Friday the 23rd of July. What is that beautiful voice? What can I hear? It's like an orchestra playing in my ears of beauty and spectrum of sound. Oh my goodness, it's Rob!
Hi, how are you?
Oh my god. Hello, Rob. Rob, have you ever considered getting yourself a music career?
No, but now I will. See, humming things like Happy Birthday.
I think you should.
You're made for the stars. It makes you think you've got the X Factor. Okay, so let's address it straight away, all right? For the people that are watching, for the people that don't watch, just listen to us. Nothing has changed for you. All is marvellous. However, if you're one of these that watches on YouTube, I'd like to thank you all of you, for the people that have got in touch with me over the past few weeks, so much, for, informing me that my room looked like crap. I'm aware, yeah, I'm alright, it's an old room, I've had it for a while, didn't think about it, until, I was doing a weekly podcast where I was on video and YouTube. So, as you can see, painting has begun, decorating has begun. My wall is currently Neptune, is the official term for this colour, the planet Neptune. So,
the planet, or do you reckon under the sea Neptune? Because I've got Little Mermaid vibes now, Mr. Sebastian.
And I've got like a brush. I've been fully decorated. Do you know what I did yesterday? Because it was so hot. I was painting my room, and it was hot, so I took my top off. I was painting my room topless. It was the most butch thing I've ever done in my entire life. All I needed was a really strong cup of tea and like a woman to pass my bedroom, so I could wolf whistle at her from above. It was
your bum hanging out and your bum hanging out?
Yeah, but that's normal. I just never wear a belt. But, so... So, decorating has begun, alright? So, this is going to be a work in progress over the coming weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take, because decorating is not my forte. As some of you may already be thinking, and maybe already be typing in the YouTube section. Can't wait to read them. But this is just the first coat at the moment, alright? So, I'm aware that it doesn't look as great as it could yet, but it's only coat one, Alex. I don't know how much experience you have with decorating. Are you you look like a painter and decorator.
I do actually. I mean, I don't have a qualification in painting and decorating. I've painted the odd wall.
Is that you? Is that your handiwork?
But it was a joint effort. I handed Ben the paint and Ben painted it. So yeah, joint effort. I mean, I hate painting. I hate painting. I just find it so dull and boring. I will literally find any other job to do which is related to the job of painting rather than the act of painting. Like when we painted our downstairs lounge, I was the guy who was putting all the masking tape around things because I found that more interesting than painting.
What does masking tape do?
Did you not use masking tape around your fixtures, Rob? And I'm not talking about yourself. Not wrapping yourself.
Like a body against the wall.
Body of masking tape. Yeah, you're meant to put it in the... You see your light switch there?
Yes.
Your light switch behind you?
Yes.
You're meant to put masking tape around it. You're meant to put masking tape around it. So you don't actually paint the fixture.
Oh.
Why are you... Surely this is...
What?
This is
no.
Painting 101, isn't it?
I haven't even got to painting 100
okay.
yet. I just painted it. So, yeah, no, this is what I mean.
I look forward to next week then.
Little tricks like this. So yeah, I'll bear that in mind. The masking tape trick. Okay, cool. Okay, marvellous.
Yeah, it's not a trick. It's just the thing you do.
Never heard
How many paintbrushes do you have? Because I saw that paintbrush look quite clean as well.
No, I haven't
used it. Did you clean it very
yet.
Thoroughly? Or
I haven't used it. I haven't used this one yet. It came with the roller that I'm using. But this I am going to be using.
Oh, okay.
To go into gaps and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, I've got a roller downstairs, and I was literally just sat there rolling it all up and down the wall and all that sort of thing. So yeah, masking tape hasn't been a thing yet, but I'll bear it in mind. I will.
But I would say that brush is a bit too big for also doing the smaller gaps. That brush, it's a bit big, isn't it? Because if there's a small gap, you want to kind of like a minute. I feel like, Rob, you've gone into this a little bit blind.
What was your first clue? I'm literally just doing this to shut people up on YouTube. It's the only reason it's happening.
Fair enough. I mean, thank you to everyone who's watching on YouTube right now and seeing that Rob's new transformation is happening. Each week you'll see... I'd love some next week if you change the colour completely because you just got sick of that colour and it's just like... Oh,
I got bored. I'm Jupiter now instead of Neptune.
Got bored of blue. Yeah. So comment below. Let us know what you think of Rob's new room, work in progress room. But you can also get in touch with Rob, robwalfordweekly@gmail.com. Flatter him. Tell him what kind of, what more you'd like to see in that room. You can also get in touch with me, alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Just search Walford Weekly. And we'd like to thank Hannah Walton for joining us on our Patreon this week. Don't forget you can also join us just by going to patreon.com/Walford Weekly. Right, so enough of your room. Let's talk about EastEnders.
Yes.
And this week we're starting with Bernie's storyline where she's found out she's now pregnant with their child of Rainie and Stuart, and Rainie and Stuart are over the moon. Karen's not so happy about it, also just discovering it for the first time with Keegan. And Tiff is being quite adult about the whole situation. So my worry at the moment is this whole, obviously, the pill popping with Bernie. She's still taking those dietary pills, which I don't know. Is there any benefit that she's getting from this anymore?
I mean, I wouldn't have thought so, especially now she's pregnant. The weight's going to, go. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to fertility and pregnancy and all that sort of thing, as I am not with painting. But I would assume that now she's pregnant, the weight's gonna climb quite substantially and quite quickly. So the diet pills, and also I would imagine that if she went to literally any doctor and said, "So yeah, these diet pills, good idea when I'm pregnant," and the doctor will go, "No, stop taking them immediately." I have a horrible feeling that this baby is maybe not going to see the full 9 months because of the diet pills, is my guess, which is going to be pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried that these dietary pills might do more damage to the child. Obviously, it's not great for Bernie because it's going to be a strain on her body. We've already discussed the finer aspects of what these dietary pills essentially are doing to her and her movements. But I'm worried that we're going to find ourselves in a story where perhaps Bernie's going to damage the health of the baby, and that we might find ourselves in a situation where she might come to something where she might have to then make a decision that she's done something so bad to the child that she's going to then have to make the decision of whether to go full term with the child, but know that it's going to be severely disabled, very unwell, and have to be looked after for the rest of its life, or whether she chooses to terminate it, and whether this is the story that we're actually going down now toward with the Rainie and Stuart storyline. Would Rainie and Stuart want a child that could potentially be disabled when it's born? Would they be then encouraging Bernie to terminate it, and Bernie would want to keep the child? The only reason I bring this up is because this is a story that has just happened in 1997 on Classic EastEnders, and we know how they like to pull out that trunk of storylines with Bianca and Ricky, because Bianca has just found out that her child had a spinal bifida. And so she decided that she was going to have it terminated rather than have it looked after. And I wonder if this could be potentially the storyline that they're now taking with the whole, Bernie having the child on behalf of Rainie and Stuart.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to go down that sort of moral questioning route. It's possible. Be interesting. But the thing is, I think the whole point of this story is sort of Bernie's view of herself and self-image and the danger of dietary pills, rather, and obviously because it's a soap, they're throwing in the extra sort of layer of drama with the pregnancy and the surrogacy and all that sort of thing. It's going to be interesting going forward. Obviously, it's not going to end well, whatever happens. I think would be pretty. It's pretty unlikely that we're going to get a nice bouncing baby out of this. It also kind of begs the question of the money and all of that sort of thing, because obviously Bernie's really only doing this for the money, and she needs to get to, I think, what was it that she needs to get to her first trimester or something before the next instalment comes through. So is she even gonna last that long? When is your first trimester? It's is it 3 months, something like that?
I mean, it's like painting to me. I have no idea.
You put masking tape around it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. I think I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do think that ultimately, like you say, I think but there is going to be I don't think there's going to be a child at the end of this at all. I think
No.
something is going to happen, be it that it needs to be terminated. It doesn't not needs to be terminated, but a decision is made for it to be terminated, or whether, you know, it just doesn't, because of the pills, something terrible should happen again. I mean, don't forget, Bernie has had a miscarriage once already, and Karen did bring that up this week when she was reminding Bernie that, you know, you've been through the pain once before. Do you want to go through this pain again? It's going to be a tragic end. Let's be honest. It's not going to work out well for anyone, I don't think.
And also, it's going to bring into question sort of Tiffany's role in this, because obviously she's the one that's she's providing the pills. And these pills keep coming, and like in two, you know, like she's not like just handing her like the odd pill here and there. She's like handing her actual tubs of these things and like giving them to her. Going back to when she was a drug dealer, she knows her stuff, does Tiff. So it's quite, you know, obviously she's going to be involved somewhere along the line. And obviously, you know, I wonder if this might sort of lead us into a new era of Psycho Stuart, you know, once all of this happens and he starts getting angry and seeing people to blame and all of that sort of thing. So maybe it's going to head in that direction. Are Rainie and Stuart going to survive it? So, you know, potentially there's quite a lot of story to come from this, which is exciting. For me personally, I'm more interested in the sort of more human aspect of it, as in Bernie's perception of herself and why she's doing this. Because, you know, is there an addictive side to these pills? You know, is it just to lose weight? Is there some form of additive in these pills that makes you slowly actually addicted to them? So, you know, there's a potential for Bernie to get herself into some real trouble here. And, you know, like we've said before, you know, it's been a while since Bernie's had something really sort of meaty to do in terms of story. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, because all the characters involved in this story I'm big fans of. So let's see where it goes, but not fun on the horizon, I suspect.
No, sadly not. I mean, so you're saying Tiff is concerned for Bernie, but this week I think Tiff needed to show some concern for herself as well, because she is getting herself quite addicted now to cosmetic surgery, or specifically having fillers on her face. Keegan won Baker of the Year, was it? Or Street Stall Baker of
Sandwich
Walford,
Maker of the Year
award. It was a hell of a niche award. He got himself as a prize. Wasn't it like a pizza?
It was like a big old chopping. It was like a big old chopping board, wasn't it? Like one of those chopping boards. It was a chopping board that they've had engraved. I mean, this sandwich storyline, it's been going on for ages now. It's up there with Foxcatcher. I'd forgotten that this whole sandwich business was still going on, but it's there, still ticking along like a big old toasted sandwich. So Keegan...
a panini.
A panini, yeah. So yes, Keegan won the award this week, and Tiff wanted to make herself feel good and pretty. There's another similarity between her and Bernie, like this whole perception of self-image and all of that sort of thing. So I wonder if it's something... if it's a slightly larger sort of thing at play here, where both of them can support each other through, you know, feeling bad about themselves and wanting to improve themselves through quite drastic means. Because this is the thing, Tiff is giving all this advice to Bernie, saying, oh, you shouldn't be taking these diet pills, they shouldn't really be happening, whilst giving them to her. But then also filling her face full of dodgy fillers. You know, it's... You know, so she can't really talk. I did like the fact that this sandwich award ceremony happened at Ruby's. They've got into this habit recently of like any sort of prestigious thing or anything whatsoever just happens at Ruby's. Whether it be a lawyer's party, a sandwich award ceremony, a poker night, everything happens at Ruby's. If Ruby starts having a storyline soon where, you know, the club's running out of money, I won't believe it for a second, because she is hosting literally every event that has ever been known to man. You know, so at that club. So, and she's never there to sort of be there in the background to host it either. She's just she just sits in the office and takes the money. Good girl. That's what I said. Yeah. Anyway,
just sit there counting it.
Yes. So the fillers have been provided by who was it that dodgy woman that came kind of gave Tiff something a few weeks back. You know, she came around her house and like charged her like ridiculous amounts of money for it, didn't she?
Yeah, she kept saying, she was like almost, she annoyed me a little bit, because like every other word was, what babes? Yeah, you really like them babes? Do you want them babes? Babes? Yeah, babes. And so, what babes? And I thought that was a bit like mean toward like anyone who works in the beauty industry, because they're not really all like that at all. That's a bit cruel.
I'm sure there's 10 of them that aren't like that whatsoever.
Oh, don't be mean. But, she's also like, babes. Don't you mean babes? She's also sponging money out of Tiff because, like you said, she gave her like a one-time offer of like £600, and now she's paying four figures,
she's charged over £1,000 for them now, isn't she? So they're already over £1,000.
And she did a really bad job.
Keegan's like, yeah, exactly. Like she had like a face bruised and all that sort of thing. So she's already having a bad reaction to these, and now they're in debt. And Keegan has now found out about this debt. That she's put them on credit cards and all that sort of thing. He's like, I've only just won this sandwich award. What do you want me to do here? You know, I haven't got the money. I haven't got the money for this yet.
I can only do one thing at once, Tiff.
Because like Keegan's becoming like Tiffany's becoming obsessed with this whole social media and building her and Keegan up as a brand. Because, you know, like I already am questioning. I mean, you know, we've got our account for the podcast and all that sort of thing. It does all right, you know, but how much traction can you get on an Instagram for sandwich making? And all your pictures are about like you looking amazing, gorgeous. Like, surely you're selling the sandwiches rather. No one cares what the sandwich maker looks like in the grand scheme of things. And they certainly don't care what the sandwich maker's wife looks like.
No. Yeah, it is odd because I think Tiff kind of wants to make it I don't know. She thinks that the only way she can grow the brand is by using like social media as a form of selling the sandwiches, which is really quite odd because you don't really link social media with sandwiches whatsoever. However, Rob, I am thinking to myself that if we are going to grow our brand, that perhaps some fillers might be needed somewhere between you and I. So who's it going to be? You or me, eh? Well, okay. You look like Pob.
I've already got, to be fair, I don't need any fillers. Trust me. If anything, I need thinners. Do they do that? Do they do like fillers in reverse where you just stick a needle in your face and then it just sucks all the minginess out of you and then you're just sat there like, hello? Like
don't they suck like natural. The fat out of your stomach and then stick it into your ass? Isn't
that I don't need that either, trust me.
Is that what it is?
Liposuction, I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, but then you take it out of one, but then you put it in somewhere else where you want it to be.
Why would you want
Isn't
it anywhere
else?
else?
Allegedly Kim Kardashian had done?
Yeah, but her bum's the size of her bum's the size of Jupiter. So I don't know if like I don't
the future colour of your room.
Kim Kardashian's ass. Yeah. So. Effectively, I don't know if she's going to go for these anymore though, because now she's seen like how bad they are and what effect they've had on her and all that sort of thing. And now I think the story is more about the fact that they're in debt and that, you know, that they're going to have to work hard to try and pay all these debts off. So yeah, we'll see. But Keegan's got a sandwich
started doing. Yeah, but I mean, he's got that award, hasn't he? So that award will do him all kinds of things. I mean, I was going to say, I don't think it'll be unheard of that every now and then we're going to hear in the next couple of weeks the scripts of, don't worry, Tiff, everything's going to be fine. I've got this award now. this incredibly niche award. So let's wait and see. But it's nice to see a young couple in debt. And I don't like the means in which they've become in debt because it feels a little bit, I don't know. It feels a little bit like kind of trashing young people that all they care about is their looks and their Instagram.
But I think it's... Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think we said this before, that it's more about like the forcing of young people and especially young women to feel that way because of the way the society is with how people look and all that sort of thing. You know, the only reason any of these dodgy filler people exist is for people like Tiffany who will try anything to up their Instagram because it's their own self-worth that's more behind and all, you know. So I think there's a good story to be told here. Let's just hope that they tell it well.
Yeah, no, that is true. Hey, Harvey came onto the square this week. We've got our first real live action glimpse of Harvey, Mr. Harvey himself. Dana's dad, who she has been lying to her dad about what... No, see, I couldn't get my head around this. So Dana had told her dad that Bobby was doing the three peaks and also walking around the New Forest, like doing a 200-mile walk. Was that because Bobby had told her that he was doing that, or because after Bobby had admitted that he had lied to her, that Dana felt like maybe if she did tell Harvey the truth about Bobby, that he wouldn't still like him, so then she decided to then kind of paint a different picture of Bobby? I couldn't understand what was happening with that bit.
I think so. Well, I think it's because she said a few weeks ago that she told, you know, her and her dad talk about everything, you know, and the dad's even aware that they'd slept together and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm presuming that like all of the lies that Bobby told, she was immediately relaying to her dad. So he does now genuinely believe that Bobby is like this amazing charity person who will walk up Everest, just for a few quid, to give to the starving children of Africa, all that sort of thing. So, it's going to be interesting to sort of see where this goes. He doesn't look dodgy yet, does he? There doesn't seem to be any sort of weird, dark, in your mind, incest storyline going on just yet. But if anyone was wondering, Alex quite likes the idea of an incest story. I can't.
I'm always pitching incest. Every week I pitch an incest story somewhere or another. I don't know. I just think it's never been done on EastEnders before. And since we're in the era of new opportunities, I just thought that perhaps an incest story is about time. But
maybe. It doesn't seem to be happening just yet. It doesn't seem to be happening just yet. But I mean, where do you think this is going to go? I mean, obviously at the minute we've got a sort of intro story where he's going to find out that Bobby's lying and all that sort, and all that sort of thing, and maybe try and break them up, maybe. But on the whole, I'm not really seeing where this might be going just yet, because presumably he is some form of dodgy character, possibly, and there's presumably some sort of secret that we're not aware of yet, but I can't imagine what it could be yet. But there's something going on, because otherwise, why has he been brought in?
Well, why would they introduce him?
Yeah.
Why would they bring him in? Yeah, because you don't necessarily need Harvey to kind of carry on the storyline between Bobby and Dana, because their story between them is quite sweet anyway. I think a lot of people are championing or shipping Bobby and Dana at the moment, or Dobby, as I'm now calling them. And
Dobby has a socks there.
Dobby do 3 peaks, and so it's weird that they've introduced Harvey as this character. So there must be something to him. I just can't work out quite what it is just yet. I mean, there's also that other story about maybe Dana gets pregnant and Harvey kind of imposes his opinion on whether Dana should have a child with Bobby or not. That was another thing I kind of threw at the wall to see if it stuck. Is there anything that you want to throw at the wall for Harvey?
I mean, all I can say, because we've got the stuff with the mum's necklace and all that sort of thing. So it's going to be something to do with the mum and what happened to the mum. Is the mum dead? Is that what has that been stated? Is their mum? Has that actually been said? Presumably she's not there.
I can't remember if they've actually said or implied her death, but I guess so.
She must be, because
I'm sure.
Where is she? Otherwise?
Comment below and let us know, guys.
Yeah. So anyway, this necklace is, still there because, they made the whole thing of, her dropping it and Bobby returning it to her and saying how important it was. So whatever's going on, it's to do with the mum in some respects. And whether she's dead or whether she's been sent, there's all sorts of things that could be done with it. But I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to guess it's something to do with the mum and the dad had something dodgy to do with it. And Dana's keeping it all a secret, or has been led to believe that it's something else as opposed to what it is. I don't know. But I'm quite keen to find out, because I like Dana and I like Bobby together. And they are sweet, aren't they? They're like the cutest couple that we've had on EastEnders for ages. They're so adorable, and I like seeing Bobby happy, and, it's given him a new spark, hasn't it? He's really, you can tell that he's kind of full of confidence and cheerful and all that sort of thing, because he's getting some. Yes, Bobby lad. And it's nice to see. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go. Because it was Bobby's 18th this week, wasn't it? I didn't realise that Bobby was that old.
It was.
Have they aged him?
Well,
have they aged him?
Did you? I thought he was older.
Oh, I thought he was a bit younger than that.
I don't think so.
How old was he when he killed Lucy? I thought he was like 11 or 10 or something like that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would say 12, 11, 10, 12, around that era.
11, 10, 12.
Well, it would have been, when he killed Lucy, it would have been their 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
So that was 6 years ago. That was 6 years ago. So 18 minus 6 means he would be 11 or 12.
Great maths. So all right, fair. I wasn't sure whether they'd aged, like, done the sort of, like, given him a few extra years. I'm glad that you did that and not me, because clearly we're bad at maths.
Masking tape and maths. Anything that begins with M, come your way here.
Oh, honestly, I'm terrible at maths. I need to use a calculator for anything after I've removed my shoes and socks to get to 20. After that, I'm screwed. So
he got a card from his dad as well this week.
He did.
It was
not a huge amount of effort
card. So No. It was literally printed by a factory and then sent to him, which made Ian feel a bit heartless. I wonder why Ian didn't even kind of write it, or was it just kind of a bit of canon for Peter to be a bit more hateful toward his dad this week? For Peter to be like, didn't even bother. I did like that Kathy said though that he only been opening Bobby's cards to see if there's any money in them.
Yeah,
like, that's our Peter.
That's Peter. That's modern day Peter. Yeah, I mean, it's. I wonder if he got a card from Jane. I want to see if Jane's... Because I think that Jane has got potential to come back, because the whole thing of her and Bobby is still to be explored. You know, the fact that Bobby whacked her head with a hockey stick and ruined a cake. That whole thing is feels like it's been totally untouched, and there is plenty of potential for Jane to return. So I wonder if there's going to be something soon. You know, it would have been a nice opportunity for the birthday for her to send him a card, and for Bobby to all be sort of like, "Oh my god, Jane sent me a card." I think that Jane will ultimately return when Ian comes back. I think they'll come back together. That's my guess.
I was thinking that. I'm wondering if Ian and Jane, that's going to be a joint return into the soap. I did think that. I wondered if that was something that potentially could happen, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. No, I really don't. I don't think we're going to be waiting a really long time for that to happen.
At least another year.
For at least another year, yeah. We touched on it at the top of the show, and I really just want to talk about it very briefly, because they've started the Whitney's singing career storyline this week.
So
she hums at such a beautiful pitch that Terry spotted it and was like, "Did you notice that, Kathy? Yeah, have you heard her sing, Kathy? Have you heard her sing?" And Kathy's like, "Oh, shut up, I'm putting up decorations." Kathy don't care. Kathy's had enough of all Whitney's
we barely do
nonsense. But yeah, I mean, it was a bit mad, wasn't it? That we got picked up purely on that humming. And then he got her to lead the happy birthday song.
But even Whitney didn't want to. She was like, "Why? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday." No. Do you know what I mean? From there, I don't understand how Rocky is gonna turn Whitney into this mega pop. Oh, I'm not looking forward to where this is gonna go, because it's gonna be silly, isn't it? It's just gonna be a load of nonsense. And it's so mad for Whitney to suddenly, after everything that's happened to Whitney over the past few years, for us suddenly to kind of stop and veer madly into this story. It's going to be mad. It's going to be mad. It's going to be absolutely mad. But hey, what can you do?
It's begun. It's started.
It's begun.
I just thought it was really tenuous the way they did it, the way they kind of brought it in. It's like she could have at least have been singing for him to spot that she had a good
heard her singing in the shower or anything. Yeah, no, it makes no sense whatsoever. It's nonsense.
I just wondered if it was like one of those talent shows like the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or anything like that, and someone just came on stage and started humming Happy Birthday. Do you honestly think Simon Cowell wouldn't sit there with his angry face and just be like, "Get off the stage"?
No, he'd stop the act that was currently singing and go, "Screw you, you're done. I want to listen to you. Go." It's better song choice though. Do it. Hum louder.
But she hums that other song choice as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
Just felt bleh. It felt tacked on a little bit, but
it is what it is.
I'm sure we'll be talking. Yeah, it is what it is, and I'm sure we'll be talking about the Whitney story in "I Ain't Want to Gossip," where we'll be saying, "Oh my god, what a wonderful story it ended up being" at some point. I also want to talk about Isaac's health this week, because he's in a hospital now, being looked after by his his visitor, his health visitor, Rafe.
Yes.
Who I felt really sorry for, because he was basically getting attacked at all angles by Sheree and by Lola. At one point, Lola tried to sneak in with a burger from Walford East.
We've all done that entering a nightclub.
Used the brown bag, I think.
Yeah, she did. We've all done that entering a nightclub where we just walk extra quickly and hope the bouncer doesn't see us. But I don't think it really works in the mental section of the hospital, really. But But, and also, she's bringing burgers into people. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I don't think that's allowed. I don't think you can bring people food from the outside because it might interfere with their medication or do you know what I mean? The way that they're eating and all that sort of thing. So, silly Lola. And silly Rafe for allowing it to happen, quite frankly. Yeah, I'll give her this burger. Either that or Rafe was like, Walford East, I'm having this. I'll have it for my breaks. See you later. Yeah, I gave it to him. He loved it. Keep bringing him in. He loved it.
I think that's what's happened. I think Rafe is basically, he's going to keep saying to Lola, oh no, he still doesn't want to see you, Lola. I'll take that
We'll
burger.
keep the burgers coming though. Yeah, he said he'll only see you if you bring in a burger every single day. Around 12:30 when I go on my break.
We'll discover that Rafe is actually the Hamburglar, and like he will see him with like a mask on and like a dodgy tie and a big jacket and a hat. Like he'll just come storming around the wards, like, looking for burgers from every patient. But yeah, no, I felt bad for Rafe this week because he was really getting like done in by Lola. I mean, Lola was much more sympathetic about for lack of a better term, the plight of Isaac. While Sheree was still being very guarded and upset that, you know, people were telling her how she should be looking after her own son. I get it because I think she's always felt like she's known better, and perhaps she's always felt like she's had to fight, you know, for you know, looking after and in the UK, especially being a woman of colour, you know, she may felt like she's had to fight for a lot of things and felt like the getting help is not something she really wants to accept. But you know, where it looks like we're not focusing on Isaac's story quite so much as we are with the fallout with the family now. So what do you think is going to happen from this point onwards?
It's, you know, Sheree's still doing this thing where she's so insistent that everybody else is wrong and her opinion is the only one that matters. And I get what you're saying, that she's clearly had to battle, you know, with Isaac and all that sort of thing, and how she, you know, how they deal with it all. But I think it's going to be more about, for the moment, until Isaac comes out of hospital, it's going to be more about, Sheree kind of accepting help and sort of accepting Lola back into the equation, maybe listening to Patrick a little bit more. Because at the minute, it seems that Isaac doesn't want to see anybody. You know, Isaac he was off his face on the medication when we saw him this week, wasn't he? Like, so he didn't really have a huge amount of wherewithal about him, bless him. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I kind of don't want them to do the thing where Isaac is just completely as good as new when he comes out of hospital, because, you know, we were led to believe that the last time Isaac went to hospital and was sectioned, it was quite traumatic for him. So, you know, how long is he going to have to be in there? What are the effects? Is he going to have any sort of post-trauma about the whole thing? Because presumably having gone through all this sort of thing is a really sort of like mentally torturous thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But yeah, I think the story at the minute is more about sort of Sheree and Lola's relationship, and, you know, seeing if they can if Sheree can accept Lola back into the throng of the Trumans. But I tell you what, this story has been the making of Lola, hasn't it? I imagine like a couple of years ago when we were sort of like, why is Lola there? What is her point? Like, she's brought Lexi back, great. Why else is she here? And now finally we're really getting like this she has grown as a character, and sensibly as well. Yeah. Like, it's logical how she's got to this point. She's become so much more sort of, I don't even want to say likable, because I've never really disliked Lola, but I think she's become a lot more grown up.
Interesting.
Yeah, she has. And it's sort of forced her to become a lot more mature and sort of see things. Because right from the start, when Isaac told her that she had schizophrenia, I think both of us were kind of like, oh, well, that was a mistake, Isaac. Christ alive. Like, you know, this isn't going to end well. But immediately, Lola was sort of like, oh, okay, right, fine. Tell me about it. What do I, you know, I'm recognising the signs. So I love this story for Lola. I think it's been a really good sort of growth for her character, and long may that continue. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a long journey before Sheree and her are best mates.
No, I agree. I mean, as you say, Lola's, for me, the thing that I've picked out most is just the way Lola has just become so likeable and interesting and grown, and someone I want to watch. Her path has been. It's been taking a long time for her to get to this point, but thankfully she has. Thankfully she's become, you know, watchable and someone I'm interested in. I also want to say that I've noticed that they've kind of sprinkled Kim in bit by bit recently with this story too. Like, she seems to be kind of, you know, a bit more level-headed with this story and kind of taking Patrick's side and talking to him about it. So it's funny how everyone seems to be kind of not ganging up on Sheree, but everyone seems to be disagreeing with Sheree, and I'm wondering, I'm worrying that this could kind of push her out further to the point that I don't want to say this, but maybe a shenanigans just could happen, and she kind of goes into the hospital and takes Isaac away, and then she. I hope not, but
Martin tried to do with Stacey.
It's just the fact that Sheree. Yeah, I suppose so. Also, what Louise's mum did with Louise when she got the burns. And
Lisa,
Louise, I forget Louise's mum. Yeah, Lisa took her out of the hospital when she was the one who had the break. At that point, she was having the breakdown, so she did. But something similar to that, I wondered if that's where, because everyone seems to be kind of going at Sheree and saying to her, no, you're wrong, you need to listen. And every time Sheree takes a step forward, she takes two back. So she kind of opens up and then kind of sucks herself back in again. And I'm wondering if that may be the case.
Well, one little brief thing about this story that I wanted to mention, and I didn't think about this last week. When we were talking about, the Square's reaction to it, and Phil saying, I don't want Raymond living with that nutter. Which seems, a perfectly sort of normal Phil thing to say, is how you'd expect Phil to react to that sort of situation. And I didn't think about this until I saw it on social media and people had commented on it. And actually, they're dead right. It's the fact that Kat didn't turn around to Phil at that point and say, do you want to not? Because of Stacey. And once I've had that pointed out to me, it's really obvious. Of course, why would Kat let Phil make such discerning remarks towards somebody who's having a mental break when, she's seen Stacey go through hell and back with her own, and she knows that Stacey isn't a nutter. So, it would have been nice to sort of see Kat pick Phil up on that, because that's hard to say. To pick Phil up on that. So I wonder if she might at some point, but but apart from that, I've not got any complaints with the story whatsoever, but just a little thought.
No. But yeah, no, I saw that on social media too, and they are entirely right. Yeah. Kat, because there's not just Stacey, so there's a history of it. There's Jean. Sheree's mum, Yeah. It's all... So, right. Now, Nancy and Zack have finally got together. However, Mick isn't very pleased about this news because Frankie had admitted that she was the one who had knocked Nancy down in the car, but said that it was because Zack wanted to cover it up because Zack had been drinking. So Mick's understandably quite upset by all this,
cross.
And has told Zack no. Quite cross. Cross is a lovely word. I love the word cross. He's quite cross.
Quite cross.
And he's told Zack, he's I don't want you to see my daughter anymore. So Zack and Nancy have decided that they're going to see each other quite secretly. They're not going to let Mick know. So Mick's feeling quite proud of himself that he was able to kind of sort out the situation, stop it before it got too serious. Nancy's unwise to any of the conversations that's been said between Zack and Mick. And Zack's quite happy because he's basically got his girl and possibly his end away this week. So,
yeah.
I mean, I love this relationship between Nancy and Zack. So what's it going to take for them to mend Mick's opinion? Because I actually want them to be together. And I think Mick's quite an understanding guy. So do you think Mick will ever understand eventually?
I called it, didn't I? Didn't I say, Mick could be the first one to find out because the Carters are nothing without a massive secret hanging over them. Hashtag no more secrets. It continues to live on. My prediction is now that what will happen is eventually Mick will discover this whole Nancy and Zack thing is going on. And he'll be initially livid that Nancy's lied to him for so long. And then he will see that Zack and Nancy are really, really happy together. So he'll sort of sit back and go, all right, fair enough. You make my daughter happy. I'm keeping my eye on you. And then it'll all explode in some way. Nancy will overhear something. Nancy will probably overhear Mick and Zack talking about it. And then it'll all explode nicely over Christmas Day. And Nancy will throw a turkey across the room. That's where I think it's going to go.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I would love a turkey to be thrown across the room.
Yeah. We haven't had a turkey thrown across the room in years.
We want turkey thrown.
Turkey. Throw a turkey.
No, about time.
Yeah,
we want turkeys.
We have Christmas trees thrown every year. I want a full-on turkey lobbed across the kitchen.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes, that's my prediction.
I really like the relationship between Zack and Nancy. It's going to come out with Nancy. I didn't think it would take this long, though. You're saying, 4 months then? 4 or 5 months before Nancy gets wind
of it? Oh, God, yeah. It is only August, isn't it? Yeah, no, it won't take that long. I reckon next month. So no turkeys whatsoever. No turkeys whatsoever. Yeah, no, I'm completely wrong.
What could they throw instead? What's September-y? Could you do it around Halloween so she could throw a pumpkin?
For a pumpkin. Maybe? Yeah, good for a pumpkin. Or a Guy Fawkes. Lob it across. Oh, imagine Nancy chasing
that's November,
Zack
though, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but the thing is, the rest of the rest of the family have got to find out. Big Catherine wheel spinning behind her.
Yeah, she's running.
Just attached to her back, and she's like going after him like a jetpack. Anyway, we go to some realms of fantasy sometimes. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's probably not going to last that long whatsoever. I think I don't know. But then the thing is, the rest of the family have got to find out about it at some point, haven't they? You know, Shirley's got to find out about it, and that's going to leave, at some point, Frankie's involvement in it is going to be discovered. So this is why Mick's keeping it a secret. This is why I knew Mick was going to be the first one to discover it, because it means more to him than it does to anybody else. It's his secret to keep because Frankie is his daughter. Nobody else has got that much attachment to Frankie, apart from Nancy, who, half sister. It's his daughter. So Linda has zero attachment to Frankie whatsoever, and she will see it Linda being Linda will see it purely as, you merely killed my daughter, get out of my pub. So that's where it's heading, isn't it? So it depends on how long Nancy and Zack can keep up this little secret relationship. But, bubbling actors again, always good to mention. Actual kissing, actual lip-to-lip contact on screen. Kissy on the middle of the pavement. Brash, isn't it? Bold. Just snogging on the street, so it's
in front of everyone.
Nice to see. But,
But it's funny because their relationship works really nicely. Like their conversations together were really nice. They Zack was very understanding. He took down his kind of boyish way and kind of was softened by Nancy. I mean, Nancy does knock him down a little bit, so he does become this kind of, aligned with Nancy better. But no, I ship Nancy and Zack. Zancy. I'm just going to do it all day.
Knick Knack.
You must remember that Knick Knack. I ship Knick Knack.
Hashtag Knick Knack.
Mick did share Linda's secret with Frankie as well, don't forget. He told Frankie that this baby wasn't his, it was Max's. So that's interesting. I wonder, because he told Linda that he shared that secret with Frankie, but he didn't tell Linda that he now had a secret about Nancy, about her daughter, Frankie. So it's getting very complicated with the
Spaghetti Junction, the secrets that they keep from each other.
I know the amount of secrets that the Carters, and again this week, Mick pointed out every single problem he's got at the moment that's hailed toward him. Again, it's just such a Carter thing, isn't it? It's like the Carters can't just have one story; they have to gobble them all up like Pac-Man and Power Pills. He has to make sure that they have every single story possible on the square, and it makes and I know we joke about it, the "no more lies" line, but it just makes that feel more and more like weaker. Like it's got no hold, that line, has it really? Let's be honest. They might as well just...
It has it. Every single Carter story finishes with them saying no more lies, no more secrets to each other. And then the next story immediately starts with a brand new secret or something. It's ridiculous. It's it's the Carter carousel almost, but it is what it is in terms of, and I don't mean that disparagingly. I don't mean it in the terms of what we normally use that phrase, but it's soap, isn't it? When you've got a family that big, and that close. The thing about the Carters, their USP has always been how close they are as a family unit. So to sort of cause issues and ruptures in that sort of unit, you need to have these sorts of secrets, don't you? So that's what it is. I love Knick Knack, and that's sticking. I do love Knick Knack, and I think they work really well together, and I like the fact that Nancy is a little bit sort of like, constantly talking down all of his lines and all that sort of thing. The stuff that he would normally use to sort of get women into bed. It's like, no, we're doing this at my level, all right? And that's a rubbish line. Don't use that again. She's keeping him on his toes. Yeah. So I hope once all this is out in the open and there's all exploded and everything, that they actually have a future together, because they work really well. I do wonder if him and Frankie still might have a little fling at some point. I can maybe see that coming on the horizon. I don't know. Will the argument from this ultimately end up in those two getting together? When Nancy realises, you killed me nearly, and chucks him out and chucks Frankie out, and the pair of them are sort of left as outcasts together.
They get together.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. But I like it. It's a good secret for what secrets are. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Right, so here we go then. This is a big story, and I have to say I've not hidden the fact because I've posted all over social media this week about how much I absolutely loved this story, which is the Panesar story, the funeral of Jags. Jags gets more airtime now he's dead than any other time he had on screen alive, which I think is just glorious. I must say,
hilarious. It really is.
But like the cameras, so many hard shots of Jags every time.
Oh, the emotion Jags was showing in his dead seats.
I know.
Why don't you do this when you're in the first show? If you'd done this in the first era, you'd have been kept.
If the whole time he was on EastEnders, he just did the same pose, like throughout all his acting, he would have been fine. He would have flown through his second contract. He'd be doing all kinds of stories.
Do you reckon when he had that picture taken, the character was like, "Yeah, that's the photo I want of my funeral. No matter how old I get, that's my funeral picture because it's perfect." Just imagine that on the edge of a coffin. It'd look amazing.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But yeah, this made you cry.
I mean, jokes aside, it did. I told Rob off the camera that I did cry. I cried in the scene when Honey and Suki were in the bedroom, and Suki had the break. She was going to put the blanket over the coffin, as is the rite for the ceremony, and it's just it was just such a beautiful scene. I cannot emphasize enough how wonderful those two actresses work together. Absolutely wonderfully.
They're brilliant.
And I like that it kind of concluded this week with them being friends. And I've just got this feeling that they're now going to be, like you say, the Shirley and Heather of EastEnders. And I don't know why. I just feel like that's that kind of attachment there. Where, so it doesn't mean that Suki has to be reined in any way. She can still be Suki and kind of be the, matriarch of the family, Panesar. But at the same time, she's got that softened side. But Honey was able to step up this week and her confidence grew. And I mean, it wasn't her ultimate goal to do it, but because she was able to stand up to Suki this week and she made that cup of tea for Suki. And the way she just went, when Suki just insulted her and then she was just like, I'll put the kettle on then, shall I? And Suki hello. Who's this Honey that I've not seen before? It's just,
I trust you.
Honestly, everything I could gush and gush about every single scene between Suki and Honey this week. It was just beautiful character building that we've not seen, or we have seen but not done to this extent on the show in such a long time, and it was just so wanting and so needed. And I feel like I'm talking too much, so because last week I talked so much about it, I want your take of this story this week, Rob. So what did you think about Suki?
You've covered it. You've covered it beautifully. It was amazing. Everything about it was brilliant. The performances all around were excellent. Really felt for Suki this week, despite the fact that this is pretty much her fault. That we can't escape from that. But then I think that's a part of, the torturedness of Suki this week, isn't it? It's the fact that she knows that the reason that her son is dying is dead in this coffin in her living room is because of her involvement in his, going to prison and all that sort of thing. So and I wonder how long it's going to be really before the Panesar kids start really turning on her about that, because I think she's got a pretty much free ride from it, because from the kids really. Kheerat's sort of is clearly struggling with it. That's what I mean. Kheerat's and Ash
her
and
mental
Vinny.
torment, her own torment.
Oh no, her own torment is driving her mad. But
her.
But what I mean is the kids haven't really sort of addressed the fact that it's her fault that the Jags is dead in a lot of ways. So it'd be interesting to see if that sort of comes to play. But yeah, the funerals, I loved all the funeral stuff. I really liked seeing how it all plays out, the tradition of it. It was an education to sort of see all the white and the towel and the blanket laying and the outfits and all that sort of thing. I loved it all. It was brilliant. And I loved Honey coming out in her, once she they'd had that gorgeous hand holding scene, and then she came out in all the traditional dress and all that sort of thing, was doing the praying thing. It was gorgeous. I loved it. So yeah, I want to see so much more of Suki and Honey. I think there's more to their friendship than just, I think it's going to be one of these things where once this thing is over, I think Suki will still try and keep her at arm's length a little bit. But when Honey next needs somebody to step in, Suki will be there. You know, I don't think it's going to be. They're not. But to be fair though, I say that. What was really nice was them like just sitting having a cup of tea later in the week. They were just both sat there with cuppers chatting, and you saw it in Suki. This is not something I do. Even like Ash came in and was like, "Why are you here? Why are you drinking tea with my mother? It's just staff meeting. What's going on here?" And Suki was like, "Oh, get her more tea, get her more char. It's all good." So I love it, and it's like Honey has given Suki sort of like this is what friendship feels like. You know, this is what it feels like to just have a mate. Because clearly Suki hasn't had many mates because of the way that she is with people. And of Honey, of all people, to be the one that sort of melts the ice, it's perfect. It really does work as a parent. Yeah. It works perfectly. So yeah, I obviously, 100%, absolutely nothing bad to say about this story whatsoever. No. But, of course, there was a bit of a... Go on.
Sorry. I just want to bring one more thing about you saying about the funeral, and a few people had said on Twitter, and it's something that obviously being a white male probably isn't something that I spotted, but it's just the fact that also a lot of people in Britain today were able to see their cultural representation with that scene as well. They were able to see, and it wasn't. I mean, we've moaned about there not being shown funerals or the aftermath. Dennis's funeral was never shown, but as much as it was important for the story, it wasn't culturally important to see it. I just think that they showed it on EastEnders this week. They showed that funeral, and culturally, and for a lot of people and communities in the UK, despite how many people watch EastEnders and the viewing figures, blah blah blah, it's got nothing to do with it. It was the fact that they showed it on prime time, BBC One.
I agree.
This funeral and I'm sorry, but that was the cherry on the icing of the icing on the cake. It was just everything about it was just perfect. And I just want to say that, even though I just mumbled my words at the end there. I took
cherry. It was the cherry on the icing. It was. Yeah, no, I totally agree because none of the other soaps are doing scenes like that, and EastEnders has always been great at showing those, ceremonies, as in in terms, when they had the Masood weddings, for example, it's showing all these sorts of things that other soaps don't show, showing the ceremonies and how they work in different cultures and all that sort of thing. And I loved the funeral stuff. I can't even tell you how much I loved it because it was just all like you could see the traditional sense of it, all the white, it was just beautiful. Loved it. However, the Panesars wasn't just about the Panesars weren't just about the funeral this week because Kheerat had a little role to play in another little story this week, didn't he? I think, and we discussed this briefly. Let's go into the Ballum story. Now, so the Ballum story, I will say, did not go in the direction I thought it was going to do because I thought we were heading into full shenanigan mode. They were going to kidnap Simon, tie him up, put him in a warehouse, and Callum was going to end up trying to drag Ben off and doing his head in with a machete or something, something like that. And what actually happened was the fact that because of the the anger and all of that sort of thing that Kheerat was feeling, about the fact that his brother was dead. And still fully under the impression that Ben was doing his best and his utmost to kind of keep Jag safe whilst he was in prison, he obviously discovered that Simon was out of prison. By the way, I don't know if it was the same actor who played him, but he didn't look. From what I can remember, was it the same actor? Wow,
same actor. Yeah, same actor. I did it for you because I knew.
Thank you. Yeah, genuinely,
they were going to bring in this big bodybuilder guy. But no, it's the same actor.
Thank you. Yeah, genuinely amazed. They brought him in for such a little scene as well, didn't they? So I was amazed by that. But yeah, Kheerat essentially went and dealt with Simon because Ben had arranged for them to meet up for this fake job interview. All against ignoring everything Callum said to him, and. Then Kheerat went and met Simon, and what happened from that point onwards, we're not quite sure. So, what has Kheerat done with Simon? Do you think?
I mean, Kheerat had come back with quite bloody knuckles, and so I think you can pretty much work out that violence had ensued. I mean, as you say, Kheerat was very angry still about the Jag thing. He brought it up again in front of Ben, saying you looked after my brother, so I'm repaying the debt, as it were. instantly Ben was like, that's coming out soon, isn't it? And Callum's initial reaction immediately was like, I'm going to lose my job. And it's like, Callum, yes,
we know, Callum. That's why you shouldn't have put yourself in the first place.
I mean, I don't want to go on about it too much because I suppose it's we do it every week. I think everyone knows. Ben and Callum can be so much more. It's just that it's just the same. It's the carousel, blah 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 blah.
Well,
one thing I spotted was that Ben put on a very posh voice when talking to
like you do with this podcast.
It wasn't Paul, sorry, but it was like I do exactly.
Yeah. This isn't his normal voice. This isn't Alex's normal voice under any circumstances. He is common as low. He's lower than a worm's tit normally when he does this, but he puts on this special voice when he does the podcast every week and just sounds like really sort of well spoken, all that sort of thing. Nothing compared to what he normally sounds like. I will say.
BBC
Oh
English.
yeah. I will say actually the story that we got this week. I see. I know we differ on this, with the Phil involvement in this week. I really liked the scenes where Phil came and the thing is, what I really enjoy with the Ballum thing is actually scenes with Callum and Phil. I actually quite enjoy those scenes because it's all about. I love watching Phil scenes anyway because I think Steve McFadden is just amazing to watch on screen all the time. But I love the scenes where Callum is kind of going around and trying to convince him to sort of deal with Ben, and you can sort of see that limited sort of thought process going through Phil's head. It's like, how involved should I get with this really? Is this worth my time? And then Phil kind of goes around and goes, right, okay, yeah, you're fine. Your problem's my problem. This is the thing. He wasn't there for Paul and Ben last time when this came around. So I think Phil sort of sees it as a second chance to sort of do his thing as Ben's father. And there was also a really nice scene when Phil had taken Raymond out to play football or something. Oh no, it wasn't Phil. It wasn't Raymond. It was Tommy, wasn't it?
No, it was, Tommy.
Yeah,
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, so Phil and Tommy were playing football in the park, and Callum came along and was like, thank you, I really appreciate it, but I'm worried about this, and Phil was literally like, right, if anything happens, we'll deal with it then. So their relationship is sort of getting a bit stronger. And what I did enjoy in that scene was the fact that when Tommy kicked the ball over to Callum and Callum kicked it back, Phil genuinely looked amazed that a gay could kick a football. And he wasn't the only one. I couldn't believe it either. Looked at it, Callum was like, oh, wow, didn't know you could do that. Amazing. Liked that. So yeah, but I will be honest, this didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to do, so I'm quite pleased about that, because genuinely I thought we had this whole thing mapped out and we knew where it was going to go. It was going to be a big old week of, Ben driving around like a psychopath with Simon tied up in the back of his car and going to warehouse 1 and just tie, and all that sort of thing. So, but yeah, Kheerat's involvement is going to be interesting. I hope they haven't just casually made Kheerat a killer. That's my one worry about it, because
no, I don't. It seems to be a thing. I don't think they've made him kill.
I hope not, because it seems to be a thing that soaps at the minute will sort of just casually make a character a killer on a Tuesday, rather than it being this big old character build-up moment. It's just like, oh yeah, I killed someone last week. It's like, that's not how it should be. You saying that you killed somebody. So I'm hoping that Simon is just sort of bruised and battered in an alleyway somewhere, and he might, because if they went to the trouble of finding the same actor who played him, surely that he's going to be used for something else, you'd think, because otherwise you'd just cast anybody as it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they did say, as Callum and Ben's and Kheerat's concern was that, if he goes to the police, and Kheerat didn't kind of correct Callum for saying that. So presumably he knew that he was still okay. Well, as okay as you can be after getting a beating from those big mighty hands. But it's like I think he's still alive. I don't think they would have done that with Kheerat. They would have destroyed him. I hope they haven't anyway, not just yet. Because I don't think it would work. But it is interesting that like you, I thought it was interesting that you saw the relationship between Phil and Ben again. And that's the relationship I'm more interested in. Whenever there's scenes between Ben and Phil, they are electric, let's be honest with you. Even if they're just talking to each other down or they're screaming at each other, those scenes are honestly fantastic. They are genuinely incredible to watch. I'll never forget that scene round the table where Ben was telling Phil not to drink, and Phil wasn't going to drink, but he was just trying to get Ben out and kind of and trying to get them to and it was just that scene is just brilliant, absolutely
well
brilliant.
That's because you have this relationship.
Ben and Phil, I've got time.
Yeah, exactly, because it's one of those stories that's been going on for so long. You've got years worth of stories to sort of refer back to, and this relationship has struggled for years and years and years since Ben was a child, and we've seen that struggle between them as characters for all that long. So that's why, it's so brilliant to watch, because they can just revert back to it at any time and talk about how difficult their relationship is. I'm waiting for the day, and I've said this before, I want the day where Phil and Ben have a two-hander. It'd be a great episode, where they really sort of go at each other and just throw all each other's issues at each other. It'd be brilliant. I can't believe that we had a Phil and Jay two-hander before we got a Phil and Ben two-hander. It's mad. But yeah, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to this week. So let's see where it goes from here. I think now it's more about what's going to happen with Callum's job and what Kheerat has actually done to Simon, rather than sort of it being a Ballum story, so to speak. So
it certainly went down a better path than we predicted. Let's just say,
yeah, it did.
Yeah, certainly did. Right. So I think that's all the stories this week on EastEnders.
Yes,
I think I gushed quite a lot this week, so I'm quite pleased about that. It's very exciting. Yeah. We've got the Olympics from next week, so obviously the schedules are moving around a little bit, but they're still showing EastEnders, so we'll still be there with our podcast again next week. We've got no time for anyone to gossip this week, unfortunately, but if you want to get in touch with us, Rob can give you the details right now.
Yeah, you can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell to get notifications about any of the videos that we post. And we are posting more videos as the weeks go on, I promise. You can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify or any of your favourite podcast sites. And you can contact us on robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or on alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. As Alex said, the Olympics are happening next week, so keep an eye on the TV schedules if you're watching it live. But remember, the BBC iPlayer episodes are still dropping, and you can discuss the week's episodes on the Facebook page with us. And we'd love to hear your thoughts as the week goes on. We'll be back next week, and until then, it's goodbye from me.
Oh, and it's a goodbye from me.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.